They say this is a big rich town. Yeah, I just come from the poet's pod. Bright light, city life, I gotta make it. This is where it goes down. Oh, yeah, yeah. Come up hard. Legal or illegal, baby, I gotta make it. Hey, what's up again, YouTube world? It is your girl here, Dana Monet, here to recap Power Season 3, Episode 7, Don't Go. I don't even know what to do with myself. I got big hair for a big episode because there was a lot of stuff that went down in this episode. There's a lot of stuff to discuss. I have some predictions and theories that I don't usually discuss during the recaps that I do, but I feel like I need to, say some things and put some things out there into the universe. So we got to get right into it because it's so much to talk about. So here we go. All right. So the episode starts with Ghost back at his hotel spot. I have to be truthfully honest. When I first saw where the bed was located, I thought that he was actually sleeping at Tommy's house, with the window right there. And then it wasn't until the end that I realized that he was at his hotel. So I just have to say that. So he's imagining Angela being there. I guess he's like dreaming or whatever. And he's all like, I love you. And I'll fix this. It almost looks like they're like about to have sex in his illusion. I'm like, even when they broken up, they about to have sex, but they didn't actually have any sex or whatever. And then, in his illusion, she says, don't go, please, which is the title of the episode. And I'm thinking in my mind, like, how is he going to fix this? And then he gets a text to go to Truth. So back at Angie's house, Angie is just so distraught. She is crying. She is, confiding in her sister Paz, who told her that this stuff was going to go down because Paz wasn't feeling Ghost anyway. And, Angie says, he basically said everything that she was already thinking. Remember in the previous episode, she was like, what are we doing? Are we living a fantasy? And then the next episode, he said that. And, Paz says he's an asshole, but he's not wrong, and Angie is like, she doesn't want anybody else. Because Paz is like, you find another man. She says she doesn't want anybody else. She wants him. And no one will ever know her like that again because she won't let them. She says, he showed me the separation papers, which means that he was down to divorce Tasha. And Paz says, were they signed? At the time that Angie saw them, they weren't signed, but she doesn't know that they were actually signed. But I'm not sure if that's actually going to come into play again. Angie was just basically saying how, she compromised herself for him and how could he do this to her? I'm like, it really shouldn't come as that big of a surprise. Like, Angie, you were involved with a married man with kids who was a big drug lord in New York City. Like, I don't know how you expected that to last with you being a federal prosecutor. You can't be the mistress and the federal prosecutor. Like, really? Come on, girl. Okay. And then there's a knock on her door. And then someone named Tim, I guess that works at the Department of Justice, comes in and he doesn't tell her why he's taking her. He's like, you got to go to the Department of Justice, bring your laptop and your phone. And, Angie goes to her office and, she sees a lot of stuff going on. And then she goes into her office and she sees that like all of her stuff is cleared out. So she's like, what the fuck? So back at the club, Ghost is talking to Karen Bassett about giving her money towards this buy-in that they were discussing. That was all about the him going to the hotel in the last episode and everything like that. And then Dre walks in and she says to Dre, he won't be just making copies once this deal goes through. And he's like, look at you. Like, you know what I mean? And Ghost, once Karen leaves, Ghost sees all the eyes in the club because, like all the Serbians is on him. Like all Milan's people got that place on lock. He can't do or say anything in the club. He thinks like everything is bugged, which it maybe probably is. He knows everything already. So back at the Department of Justice, it took me a while to get this woman's name, but I finally heard them say it, MJ. So her name is MJ, the head investigator, trying to figure out, the conspiracy, because she is convinced that it is a conspiracy in reference to, the leak. And Collins, Mike Sandoval's boss and everybody's boss, thinks it was just an accident, a breach of duty, and she basically, MJ politely kicks Mike out and says, everyone on the task force needs to be questioned and investigated. MJ points out that the cell phone that was found on Lobos's person, when they found the body or whatever, just to confirm Lobos is actually dead, because I know a lot of people were like, Ghost shot him in the stomach, why ain't shoot him in the head? So Lobos is dead. So the cell phone that they found on him, there a number that called that phone was linked to the Department of Justice, and was used to call only one number, and the cell number pinged a cell tower in Teterboro. That's where they were taking Lobos. So she says, one of your people is dirty, and I'm going to find out which one. So this woman is on a mission. Back at the club, Tommy and Julio walk in, and I don't think I've seen Tommy at the club since like season 1. And Dre, he kind of tries to be all chummy with Tommy, and I don't know if you noticed, he was holding a case of effing vodka, which is 50 cents vodka. So little plug in there, little promotion for 50. And Tommy really isn't having it. He's not trying to be chummy with Dre. He basically just gives him the middle finger, like, deuces, like, get out of my face. Tommy said he's not working with that Tony the Tiger motherfucker. I was like, why you gotta be Tony the Tiger? But anyway, Ghost says, okay, whatever, fine. Can't talk inside, gotta go outside. Because Ghost is paranoid. Ghost is like, I don't know who's watching me. Like, I don't know what's going on. So, Julio and Dre, they talk for a quick second. And Julio asks it to Dre, are you back in? Dre says, it's not looking like it. He's still keeping me out of the loop. And then Tommy figures out Ghost didn't kill Angela like he told her to. Tommy, Ghost is never going to kill Angela. You know this. Come on now. And, he just temporarily broke up with her. He doesn't know that he temporarily broke up with her, but that's what we know happened. Ghost peeps that Tommy put his grandmother's ring around his necklace. I guess it's like a symbol of Holly or something like that. And then Ghost says, Milan didn't kill us. He wants us, needs us for some reason. We don't know what game we're playing. We don't know anything about this guy until he slips up. Then we can get him. And Tommy is like, what if he doesn't slip up? Because Milan is on his P's and Q's, and he got like everything on lock. So that's a very valid question for Tommy to ask. But Ghost says everyone does, which is true. But, we'll see what happens with that. Then they're patted down and they're put into the SUV with Milan. And Kanan was peeping the entire situation while he was sipping on that lean. He still got that because he's still in pain, even though he's out here trying to kill somebody, he's still in pain. So back at Tasha's house, she and Tariq, this scene was a hot mess, are supposed to be going to see the therapist, and Tariq wants no parts of it. He's sick of talking to the therapist about his feelings, and she says, she's like, you only have 2 more sessions left, and don't you want to see your father at career day? And Tariq is like, no. And I'd be like, no, too. Like, I don't want to see my dad. Like, that nigga, please. And he's like, you hate him too. So why do you even care? And she says, I don't hate your father. And Tariq says, man, yes, you do. You're such a fucking liar, just like him. And I was like, oh my God, he just cussed his mom out. I mean, like, granted, he wasn't wrong, because I'm pretty sure that Tasha despises Ghost. But still, like, that little boy, well, big boy, actually. Tasha actually tries to go and smack him upside the head because that was the last straw or whatever. And then he grabs her arm or whatever, prevents her from smacking. I would have been like, I might have had to hit him in the stomach or something like that. I don't know. But Tariq, Whew, okay. So, and I'm like, that's what y'all get for not disciplining him sooner. He's spoiled, and he should have got hit upside the head after he took that gun. But no, y'all tried to reason with him, talk to him. Yo, that little boy might need a little bit of a beatdown. I know he's right. He is. And with his conversation with Ghost later, he was right as well. I mean, he made some valid points. He says a lot of stuff that we've been thinking, but y'all still need to check him. And that's one of the reasons why he's acting like this, because y'all ain't checking him right. Y'all babying him. He is becoming a man. Talk to him like such. Thank you. So then she calls, she says, you need to take your black ass in the room. I'll deal with you later. And she calls Ghost, and she's leaves him a message like, yo, you need to get here and talk to your son before I kill him my damn self. Because I think that Tasha is kind of reaching her wits end, and I know everybody is kind of waiting for Tasha to kind of like have her moment, and I know that she's going to go ham. I feel it in my bones. It's probably not happening to the season finale, but Tasha is going to save the day. Y'all don't know this, but she is. She's going to be the savior for everybody. So back at Justice, Mike is being interrogated and is confronted about being interviewed before, when he was working this case in California, something similar like this. And Mike basically said, is like, he's dotted all his I's, he's crossed all his T's, he has nothing to do with nothing. He is basically trying to take himself entirely out of the situation, knowing that he was the one who was the leak. So I think he's kind of trying a little bit too hard with that, to be honest. And he was like, I was the one who got Lobos to sign the papers, but Angela was the one to file the papers for his transfer. And MJ calls, and then they kind of start interrogating everybody. So we switch to Angie's interrogation, and she calls her out on not always following the rules and brings up her using a minor to get that sketch of Ghost at the time, who they thought was Tommy. And then they talk to Greg, and they trying to play him, saying that he should have gotten shot in the head instead of just in the chest. Like, why didn't they shoot you in the head? Were you involved? Was that a part of the plan for you to get shot in the chest in your bulletproof vest? You know what I mean? And then, they speak to the black guy. I still don't know this guy's name. And they start talking about, Angie and Greg's, relationship, because he was brought on because of the situation with, Angie claiming that Greg was stalking her, which he kind of sort of was, but it was still messed up the way she played him like that. And then they're talking to Sax about Angie and Greg's relationship. And then MJ brings up some stuff about what he may be into. I'm like, what is Sax into? What is Sax doing? And she asks everybody if they spoke of the John Doe case to anyone outside of the task force. And everybody, and Angela, Greg, and Mike are all like, no, no, no. And then Sax is the only one that doesn't say no for certain. He was like, well, I did talk to Greg about it before he was brought back on the task force while he was suspended. And Sax really should have just said no. Sax is like, has absolutely nothing to do with, he's the farthest from this whole situation, but he might be the one that ends up getting blamed in the end because he says stupid stuff. Just keep it to one word answer, Sax. So Greg confirms he was following Angie while he was suspended, which technically he was following Ghost, but he was probably following both of them. Let's be real. And he knows that because he knows she was involved with the suspects and knew them. They all find out that Lobos is dead. And I think that Angie that gets her thinking a little bit when she finds out that he's dead. And now we're switching to Ghost and Tommy in the car with Milan. And Milan basically tells them that they're his slaves. They're his bitches, basically. And while Milan is saying what he wants them to do as far as distributing the drugs and everything like that, Tommy is like, do you actually eat people? I'm like, Tommy, do you think that this is really the right time to ask that question? Like, do you think that that is good for this moment? So moving right along. Back at Justice, MJ, she went into the bathroom with Angie, and Angie is a little bit distraught, but she's trying to compose herself because MJ came in. And she talks to her about having, a certain set of skills. Angie is pretty, nice body. She's like one of the only women at the Department of Justice, so she can use her feminine wiles to, get her way or whatever. And MJ says, the East District is responsible for figuring out who pulled the trigger and murdered Lobos. And that will lead them right back here. And that really gets Angie thinking. She like, Ghost did this shit. I know it. And he's gonna get me in trouble. He's gonna get me, locked away. Even though a lot of stuff that she did on her own could have got her in trouble, but whatever. Karma's a bitch for both of them, actually, in this episode. It's crazy. So now they're back at the Coke warehouse, and Ghost and Tommy are surprised that Milan knows where it is. And Milan's like, he knows everything. I don't know what this dude doesn't know. Then we all see Tommy and Ghost people tied up, including Julio. So they got all of them. And Milan tells Tommy to get rid of Callahan, who's the priest, because he's running guns for the Albanians. And the Serbs, they don't fuck with the Albanians. And, Tommy says he's not going to do it just because he says so. And I'm like, Tommy, do you know who you talking to? Tommy is walking on thin ice with that. And, Milan wants Ghost to sell the dope in his clubs. And Ghost is like, I'm not trying to sell dope in my clubs. I'm trying to get caught. So I'm trying to be clean. But, you're never going to be clean. So Milan, he's like, okay, you don't want to kill Callahan. You don't want to sell dope in your clubs. This is basically what can happen to you if you don't do what the fuck I say. So he gets one of his boys and he chokes the shit out of him and like twists his neck like, and I'm like, okay, like, can y'all please, like, just please, like, do what y'all are told or whatever. So he kills him just like in about 2.5 seconds and, to show that he's not playing. And after he leaves, Milan says that he wants his money for the product by the end of the day. So they only have like basically 8 hours to get him the money for all that coke that he brought in there. And as Milan is walking away, he says the white one will prove useless very soon. Talking about Tommy, obviously. Ghost says to Tommy all his clean money is tied up and asks Tommy if he, confront the money to pay for this. And, Tommy thinks that Milan is bluffing. I do not know why. Milan does not play. And Ghost is like, Milan doesn't deal. Did you see him? He doesn't negotiate. He just kills you. And Tommy says, he'll handle it in his own way. And I think that's referring to Callahan. So back at Tasha's house, she's telling Ghost about how disrespectful Tariq was to her. And she says he's getting worse. She says, you're the one who got him, crooked, basically. It's all your fault. And it is. She's like, do you even know how to tell the truth anymore? I don't know if he knows. He did a good job with it on this episode. I will say that. He tells her he needs a short-term loan from the IRA and the kids' trust. And I'm like, you trying to take from the kids' trust? You better fall back. That's what I'm thinking in my mind. And I'm like, Tasha, don't do it. Don't give in. And she's like, you should be asking your side bitch all that lawyer money she got. And he's like, I'm not with her anymore, but I can't get into that right now. She says, I'm not betting my kid's future on yours. Find another way. And I'm like, yes, Tasha, tell him. Hold your ground. Solid as a rock. So we switch to Kanan, and he creeps up on Dre as Dre is taking out the trash. And Dre is like, yo, I just found out that Ghost and Tommy is back together too, dealing drugs. I didn't even know. I didn't know nothing. Please don't kill me. So, and they back in action and everything like that. And Dre is like, how Ghost likes to keep his secrets. How I don't like to tell everybody everything. And Kanan is like, you need to get back inside. I don't know how long I can stay uncut, because I feel like Kanan is just like itching. Just like Dre wanted to kill somebody in the earlier episodes and he wanted to get back in the drug game, like Kanan is just like itching. He just wants to pull the trigger and like shoot somebody. That's why I think he did what he kind of did at the end of the episode. And Dre says you got to get out of here because eyes are watching all over the place, and he says they'll call him. So back inside of the club, Ghost explains to Karen that he needs more time to come up with the money. And Karen and her father are really not trying to hear that. Like, I thought you had the money to do this deal. And Karen is like, he's gotten till the end of the day. And she's like, I know this means a lot to you. Get the money. You know what I mean? So he's like, how am I going to pay Karen and Milan this money by the end of the day? And, it's either my life and my family's life or this business? So, you know, at the end of the day, he makes the right decision. But I mean, in that, you know, those two, Karen didn't really stand a chance. So back at Tasha's house, Tommy goes in there and he's actually able to get the money from Tasha from Milan. I guess because they were kind of working together with the whole weave shop thing, and he doesn't even tell her why, and she just gives him the money. So, you know, I don't know. I guess they kind of had some clean money that they were able to, you know, take care of through the weave shop. Tasha then says, "Why'd you do that to Holly?" And Tommy is like, "What the fuck did she know I did to Holly?" He's like, "Huh?" You know, and Ghost told me what happened. And Tommy is like, "He did?" And Tasha's like, "I thought you would have done better than that." And then she basically reveals to him that she was pregnant. Of course, Tommy didn't know. She's like, "She's pregnant." And I knew that Tasha was just going to drop the bomb randomly at some time. And, you know, Tommy realizes that Tasha doesn't know that Holly is dead, but now Tommy is speechless when he finds out that she was pregnant. And Tasha's like, "What, you gonna go find Holly?" And he's like, something like that. And then he goes in the elevator and he just looks like just completely stunned. So back at Justice, Greg, they're continuing the interrogation and they're focusing on Greg again. And he brings up Angie fucking James St. Patrick. And Greg thinks that she'll get away with it again. He's like, she's going to get away with it. Because he's convinced that she is the leak. And MJ says, you know, she didn't break the law by having a relationship with James St. Patrick. You're just mad because she broke your heart. And Greg is basically like on the verge of tears. He's like, "Not again. Like, I'm getting the shit end of the stick all the time." But he's very insistent that she's involved, and he's like, "Look to Angela. You'll find your proof," or whatever it is that he said. So back at the club, Ghost is looking through his files of all Milan's workers and everything, and also the girl from the first episode who left the card. And in hindsight, I have to believe that I was a little bit speculative that Lobos was behind that card when I think about the first episode because of her name. I was like, Lobos is Mexican, you know, and she wasn't Hispanic in any way. That last name was Borskaya or something like that. So it was a little bit like, because I didn't think he would work with someone who wasn't like of his same, you know, race. Because usually people kind of stick with their kind for the most part. But anyway, Dre comes in and he says he knows that he's back in and he wants in. And Ghost is like, "Let's take a walk because my office is probably bugged. I don't want to talk in here." And he reveals the card was from Dean, aka Milan, and not Lobos. So he tells him why he's working for Milan now. And I'm happy that he actually told Dre the truth at this point. And he asks Dre, you know, "Are you in?" And basically offers him half of the street business if he helps him get rid of Milan. Which is kind of basically what Dre has been wanting this whole time. So Dre's like, "Yo, what you want me to do, son? What you want me to do?" And asks Dre, you know, to put in an anonymous tip on a missing person. Tatiana Borskaya. I think that's how you say her name. So back at Justice, MJ is now back to interviewing Mike, and he's basically claiming that he is squeaky clean, him and his pink tie, and doesn't show any signs of being the mole. And MJ says, you know, whoever helped escape Lobos had a history with him, and Mike has been working the case longer than anybody else in the Department of Justice. And, you know, Mike starts giving all these reasons as to why he couldn't have done it, and basically says, if I did do it, wouldn't I be in danger? Wouldn't my family be in danger or something like that? And then he says he doesn't want to throw his people under the bus, his other people on the team. But then, you know, he says, "How much do you know about Angela's relationship with James St. Patrick?" So to save his ass at the end of the day, he will throw Angela under the bus. And the whole time he's known that she's been dating James St. Patrick and that James St. Patrick was Ghost. So Ghost comes back to Angie's apartment and he is greeted by Angie's sister, Paz. And Paz is there and she packed all of his stuff. She's like, "I'm getting rid of all of this shit." And she tells him that, you know, Angie loved you and she would have done anything for you. You know, and she tells him She was practically dragged out of here, and she's usually the smart one, and she was practically dragged out of here for work. She doesn't trust herself, and you basically fucked her completely up. And she's being questioned at work, and Ghost says, I'm not a bad man. I'm just, and then Paz says, you're just a man, and you want to get some pussy and then move on to the next, to drop her and then move on to the next or whatever. And then Paz says, get out. And, she says she'll kill him if he's ever near Angie again. And then asks for the keys back. And I was like, yes, Paz is sticking up for her sister because she knows that Ghost is, even though she didn't know that much about him, she knows that he is a low down, dirty dog. Like we all do. So back at the Department of Justice, MJ is continuing to interrogate Angie and is reading the text on her phone from the prior day, the day that Jamie was killing Lobos, what was supposed to be at the hotel. Angie says she didn't know about the tracker, the GPS tracker, and MJ says, you can't prove a negative. MJ basically says Angie was played, and it has everything to do with love, because first Angie says it has nothing to do with love. And, she says MJ says when St. Patrick looked at you, he didn't see a future judge. He didn't see an attorney general. He saw a typical woman, a sucker. And that line was really telling to me, because although I don't necessarily think he saw her as a sucker, I don't think he ever thought about her having any future career aspirations. I feel like he thought that her aspirations were just going to be with him and flying around, like she didn't have any dreams or hopes or goals of her own outside of him. So Angie says he's the sucker and she played him. And she talks about how she cloned his phone to get Lobos. And she says Lobos would have slipped through their fingers if she hadn't done what she did. Whether ethical or not, it didn't matter. We got Lobos. We got our guy. Like what? Basically, is what she's saying. She said if she didn't use her special skills, her feminine wiles, you know what I mean, it wouldn't have happened. And MJ tells her, you're free to go. And then she tells her partner after he leaves the room, we need to talk to James St. Patrick. Switch back to Tommy meeting with the priest Callahan in the confessional, and he's telling him basically to stop running the guns for the Albanians. And he talks about how he got what he wanted in terms of him and Ghost being back in the game together, but he wants to take it all back because it's not how he wanted it to happen. And Tommy has a gun right there in the confessional, and he is trying to convince Callahan, look, stop running those guns for the Albanians before I shoot you, because if you keep on doing that, you gonna be breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the Serbs. Like, for real. Just like, please don't make me shoot you right now. Like, I'm trying to spare one life. I'm trying to be good. So that's basically what he's saying. So, Callahan agrees to call, the stop running guns for the Albanians. And we switch back to Angie. She's home and she's opens up her closet and she sees that all of those things are gone except for a pair of shoes. And she looks up and calls the Odette Hotel, which was the hotel that he supposedly stayed at the other night when he was actually murdering Lobos. And then it switches to Angie going to Tasha's apartment again, and she's in the lobby. And Tasha's like, don't think you can just keep showing up here at my place. And Angie is like, were you at the Odette Hotel the night before last? And Tasha's like, that's none of your business. And, Angie is like, if you're covering for him, you could be charged with being an accomplice to a conspiracy to murder. And if convicted and found guilty, you could lose your kids and you could lose everything. And I'm like, and this bitch Angie got some nerve coming to her and saying all this shit. I was like, Tasha, please get her, please. And Angie says, if you lie, I can't protect you. So what's it gonna be? So Tasha says, my husband did murder something. He broke my back. So she basically was like, we was fucking. And Angie is like, that's not true. He was murdering Lobos. And Tasha's like, bitch, we fucked all night. You know what I mean? And he's upstairs right now. You can call him and ask him. He's here. He's at my house, our house. And Angie is like, how could you take him back? And Tasha says, I'm his wife and the mother of his kids. I never lost him. And she sticks that alibi like nobody else could. I swear, I was like, Tasha better go, because when the time comes, Tasha is on it. She is on it. And she tells Angie, you were a midlife crisis. Crisis is over. Now, I will say about that scene, although I do like the way that Tasha handled it, and she's getting better. She's not being as like submissive or whatever. I think that I would have kind of liked that to go in a different direction. But I think that what she said was the right thing to say, because it covers the alibi. At the end of the day, I think it was the right thing to say because it covers the alibi and it pisses Angie off. So I think that it worked on 2 accounts. So now we switch back to Kanan acting like he's Mr. Nice Guy, helping this old lady with her groceries. And I just already knew what was going to happen to that old lady. I was like, he's going to kill the old lady. Like, why does he need to kill her? And so Dre calls him and tells him Milan took over Ghost's business, and says Ghost is scared. And Kanan is like, Ghost being scared ain't good for nobody. Like, keep your eyes open, basically. And then he tells Dre to hold on. And Kanan, he looks, makes sure nobody's looking and everything like that. She got the door open, and he pushes the old lady into her apartment on the ground. And then he smothers her with her pillow. And the pillow actually said, I think, Jesus saves or something like that. So how ironic that he used that pillow to smother her. And I was like, Kanan is just a low down, dirty bastard. He's just killing old ladies. So then he just gets casually back on the phone with Dre and picks up the conversation where he left off. And he tells Dre because Dre is like, what's the plan? And Kanan is like, he's going to give this nigga a history lesson, meaning Ghost, and take him back in time. And he reveals this peephole behind a picture of Jesus, who Jesus is not really white, y'all. I don't know why they keep on doing that. But anyway, and I'm like, when he talks about give him a history lesson, I'm like, are we going to maybe see some flashbacks of like when they were kids or something like that, when they first started in the drug game? Like, I kind of got a little bit excited about that. I'm like, is that where, because Kanan mentioned that that's where he used to live. So did he used to live like right next door to Ghost? Like, the Ghost used to live right there? Like, what is that peephole showing? Like, what can he see through that? Like, what is the purpose of that? So I'm kind of trying to figure that out as I'm doing this review. I'm sure I'll figure it out by like Wednesday, because that's usually what happens. Switching back to Ghost talking to Tariq. And so Ghost is talking to Tariq in his home office. And Tariq says he didn't try to hit his mom. He just wanted to stop her from hitting him. And Ghost says, you're not supposed to put your hands on your mother under any circumstances for any reason. And you need to apologize. And then Tariq, he done got some serious balls this season, and especially this episode. Tariq says, like, you had me apologize to your side bitch. And I was like, wow, he really said that. And then Ghost like jokes him up and says, what the fuck did you just say, boy? Or something like that. And because he spoke ill of Angie. And I have a problem with the fact that he didn't yoke him up when he found out that to his mother. But the second he said something about his side bitch, he was quick to yoke up his son. And I think that triggered something in Tariq that saying basically, you don't love my mom anymore. Like, you care more about Angie than you do my mom. And essentially, you care more about her than you care about us, your kids. So I think that, Tariq is getting it. That's the way that I viewed it, basically. So Tariq storms out, and then Tasha says, you making dinner plans and didn't tell me? Like, you don't even freaking live here anymore. Like, what the hell are you doing? And all of a sudden, we see Milan and the girl Tatiana, who is not dead, by the way. Just remember, if you do not see a body, you can't assume that the person is dead. So in that first episode, when he went to her apartment, there was no body. So, and they're in the living room, and Ghost tries to prevent the kids from coming to dinner. And Milan is like, I brought enough for everybody, even including the kids. And he introduces himself to the kids. And he says, "You must be Raina." He's acting all nice and everything like that. And he's like, he wanted to meet the family of his most important client. And, that's and whatever's most important to you is important to me. And Milan tells James to come over and sit and have some good dinner. And Ghost is looking scared shitless. And I have to say, at that moment, I was scared for him. I was literally like this. I was like, oh my gosh, he is having dinner with his family. Like, nobody is safe. Like, you got two people that could potentially kill you and your family at this point. You got Milan and Kanan. And Kanan is cray, but Milan is like this calculated drug dealing murderer. Oh, it's crazy. And we see Tommy at Holly's gravesite drinking and reminiscing, and then the Serbs pull up, tase him, and they take him away. We switch back to Tasha's apartment, and Ghost gives Milan the cashier's check that he asked for because he wanted it to be clean money. Like, he's paying him for his security services, but he was really paying him for the dope. And he says, you still got to find a way to make the deal with Karen work. And Ghost is like, the deal is off the table. And Milan is like, no, she likes you. And she likes your 3 clubs. So you're going to figure out a way to fix that, basically. And he's basically saying, I want you to sell, because I want you to be selling dope in her hotels and in your clubs. And Ghost is like, that's too risky. And Milan is like, motherfucker, I'm in your home with your family and your kids. This is already risky. Like, are you serious? You could die. I'm going to have your head on a swivel and eat it. Like, Ghost needs to stop with this mess. And Milan says, you have too many attachments. He says, think of them, meaning your family, the next time you want to betray me. And you have everything to lose. And once he leaves, Tasha's like, what the fuck is going on, Ghost? And he takes her out to their terrace, which is very nice, by the way. I've never seen their terrace. They got like a nice little pool there. I was like, this terrace is nice. And she's like, what a fucking day. First your bitch came by and I alibied your ass. And Ghost is like, Angela stopped by? And he is stunned by this. And Tasha's like, she knows about you killing Lobos. And she says, why are we out here? Ghost says, because Milan could be listening. And Tasha says, who's Milan? And Ghost says, it's Dean. Dean is Milan, who was just eating dinner with us. And he might be the most dangerous man I've ever met. And she says, even more dangerous than Kanan? And Ghost says, Kanan is street. Milan is on a whole nother level. And he most certainly is. So then we switch back to the warehouse where Tommy is just basically getting his ass kicked. I mean, he tried to fight a little bit in the beginning, but he is getting his ass kicked by the Serbs. And as Courtney Kemp said in the little after show on demand, the creator, he's basically getting his penance because he basically feels like he deserves this for what he did to Holly. He's very remorseful for that. And he kind of seemed okay about dying in that moment. And I have to be truthfully honest, I could barely watch that scene. I was like, that was worse than when he choked Holly. Like, I couldn't watch it. I felt so bad for Tommy in that moment. And then we switched back to Ghost and Tasha talking on the terrace. And Tasha's like, why didn't he just kill you already for killing Vladimir or whatever? And Ghost tells Tasha he wants her to suffer. And Ghost says he thinks that Milan made a mistake. And he's gonna try to use that to get them out of the situation. And they focused on those cigarettes that Milan was smoking. And I feel like that's the mistake that Ghost is referring to. But I'm not really quite sure what he's gonna do with it. Like, what you're gonna get, like, his DNA off the cigarette. Like, I don't really know what that leads to. But I think it has something to do with the cigarettes that Milan was smoking in his house. So we switch back to the warehouse. And after Tommy is like on his last leg and everything like that, Milan tells Tommy, the priest called off the Albanians. That's fine. But that's not what I asked you to do. You're not simple, but you are disobedient. And then he's like, why do you want to die, Tommy? It's like, you're doing everything that make you want to die. Like, why? Oh, he's like, oh, this is about the girl. And he tugs on his necklace that has the ring on there. And Tommy says, just fucking do it. And he's just like, at this point, he just wants to die. He's just like, he just feels like he has no more life to live. And Milan says he was wrong about Tommy. Tommy has immense value because he has nothing to lose. So Ghost has everything to lose and Tommy has nothing to lose. And this is the best time, he says to him, this is the best time to be alive. And then, he leaves him there and everybody leaves out of the warehouse and Tommy is just lying there, almost lifeless. And it's really sad. So back at Ghost's apartment, or Ghost Hotel, Angie comes in and Angie says, "You want to know if I gave you up, don't you?" when she was being questioned. And then Ghost says, I just want to know if you're okay. And she says, no, I'm not okay, Jamie. Like, you killed Lobos and the DOJ thinks I participated. So she's like, you need to help me prove that I'm innocent. And I need to know who told you where he would be. So she's like, you use me. So right now I'm about to use you. So you're going to help me prove my innocence. And then she said, as soon as you got rid of him, meaning Lobos, you got rid of me. And then, he slams her down in the bed. And for a hot second, I thought that he was like about to rape her. And I was like, what the hell do you think he's doing? But then I realized he was looking to see if she had a wire on her. And she says she's not wearing a wire. And he's like, how do I know that? Because she's like, if you go down, then I go down. We connected. We are joined at the hip. We in this together. You know what I'm saying? So, when I told you Lobos was alive, that makes me technically part of the criminal conspiracy, but I didn't tell you where he'd be. I didn't tell you any of that other information. She's like, you need to help me. Eastern District is investigating the murder and it'll come back to me. They find out that you killed him. So, you're going to let me get the death penalty for something that I didn't do. And she's like, you never loved me. And, Ghost says, he doesn't know who the leak is. And she says, find out. And then he says, don't go, like Angie said at the beginning of the episode. And I'm like, Ghost. Ugh. So I have to say that was a crazy, intense, amazing episode. It literally just keeps getting better and better. I have to be honest. I didn't like the way that it ended with, Ghost being all soft, talking about, don't go, Angie. I'm like, Ghost has literally ruined everybody's life on this show in some way, shape, or form. Like, almost. And either directly or indirectly, he has ruined somebody's life. So something needs to happen to Ghost. I think I said this last week. People have attempted to kill him, but he hasn't even been really like beaten up or shot. Like Tommy has gotten shot and beaten up. That happened twice this season. So I don't understand why Ghost can't get a little slap in or something to happen at this point. So I know a lot of people were saying a lot of stuff about, Kanan is going to get a hold. There's a couple of theories I have. Kanan getting a hold of Tariq and like kind of holding him hostage or whatever. But I kind of think at this point that Milan might get a hold of Tariq instead of Kanan. But at the same time, they're both a threat to Ghost and his family. And although Milan is smarter and definitely on a different level than Kanan completely, the advantage that Kanan has is that Ghost still thinks that he's dead. Ghost doesn't even know he's alive. And Dre won't dare tell him because Dre don't want Kanan to kill his daughter, right? So he's not going to see Kanan coming. And that's going to create, it's just messiness and mayhem. And I'm not really sure what Kanan's plan is, but I do hope that it involves flashbacks, as I said before. Tommy is a mess. I really do think that Angie despises Ghost right now. And although he kind of broke up with her temporarily and didn't really mean it, like, I don't really think that she wants him back. But I have to, and she's a prosecutor first, but I do have to say that the show and the writers always find a way to bring them back together after he completely screws her over. For some reason, she takes him back. So I don't know. And I did also mention this earlier in the recap. I feel like Tasha will be the one to somehow end up saving the day in some kind of way. Like I've been predicting that she's gonna shoot somebody this season. She's gonna kill somebody. She's gonna do something, and it's gonna have to do with protecting her kids and everything like that. And I have to say that I'm glad that Ghost told Tasha and Dre the truth about Milan, because he's always trying to keep stuff in and, not say, what's really going on and lie to everybody. So I'm happy that he told her, because you can't handle this yourself. Like, you clearly need help, because this man is crazy and he has basically an army, a militia that is backing him. So he's out of his depth at this point. So that is my review. Again, this episode was crazy. I don't even know what to expect next week. These writers are keeping me on my toes. They are killing it. So kudos to the writers. Like, I don't even know right now. There's only 3 episodes left. I don't even know. So I will see you guys next week for episode 8. See you later. Bye.